Hey, we've got a hardwired handicap inside us.
Oh man, that's scary.
And it's called us versus them thinking.
Yeah.
It's not literally in the list of cognitive biases, but it's definitely, a phenomenon. And it's basically a survival thing, I mean, so going back to cognitive biases for a second, we've been talking about cognitive biases, and we basically got three conundrums in life. I'm doing a little quick review here. So the three conundrums are too much information, not enough meaning from that information, and not enough time to think about all that information to reach conclusions.
Yeah.
And so we've got to all take mental shortcuts to function. And these are called cognitive biases. They're just ways of collapsing something complex into something real simple so we can make a quick decision. Because sometimes it's duck or sometimes it's run, and we've got to
sometimes it's
make make choices real quick. So,
and this is from can we
so back? We are, this is Hacking Your Mind Part 3. So we're doing there was a 4-part PBS series called Hacking Your Mind, and the third in the series is titled Us versus Them, and it is amazing. If you only had time to watch one of the 4 episodes, I would say do this one.
Yeah, they're about an hour long.
Because it's got so much information in it, so much useful information, and it reviews several things. They don't talk so much about Daniel Kahneman and the various Nobel Prize winners that have done the research that led to all this, but what they do is summarize and show a bunch of the research that other research about that leads to this the problems of the us versus.
They walk you through some of the experiments.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of those. So we do have to take these mental shortcuts, but we don't have to do it all the time, and that's the key. Okay, there's no way we evolved with these shortcuts for a reason, and we still need them. It saves a lot of energy. We need to be able to make fast decisions in high stakes situations, where our safety is concerned.
Fight or flight.
Where we run into problems is using, and it's autopilot. That's Daniel Kahneman, who with his partner Amos Tversky, they did a lot of research, and then he wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And he said basically we have 2 systems of thinking. We have a fast system, this automatic autopilot, make quick decisions, and sometimes we don't even recognize that we've made a decision. It's just done. And
I've been accused of that once or twice.
and then the slower system is the one where we slow down, we're very deliberate, and we think through a problem and arrive, trying to kind of weigh everything out, and either system can be overused. I mean, I've been accused of overthinking things, so and I'll admit to it. And so you can overuse that system as well. Where we run into big problems is making the big life decisions, like buying a car, buying a house, using the automatic system, I just lost the word, autopilot system. Right, that's where
it's shiny and pretty. And I want it
because it throws out so much information in order to make a quick decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to the us versus them, one of the fast decision things that we do on autopilot is when we see another individual. I mean, this is going to make this personal.
Yeah.
When we see another individual, we make a split-second assessment of like me or not like me. My group or not my group. When we were, living in primitive times, and we were grouped together in tribes, there was safety in that tribe. Everybody lived and shared and
took care of each other.
Yeah, we took care of each other for survival. And when there were limited resources, then those tribes would go to war, or they would compete for those resources. They would. And so, the like me, not like me, or my group, not my group, making that split-second decision could save your life.
Right.
Because you might be under attack. Okay, so that worked to keep us alive back then. We don't, 99% of the time in our lives today, we don't need that.
No.
That quick, And so it's a recognition, but then there's also a judgment that comes with it, and that's where they go into a lot of research in this episode that was fascinating.
Yeah, and scary.
So one of the examples they used. Before I go to the research, the other thing was as we do the like me, not like me, we also tend to attribute characteristics to the not like me, to the like me and the not like me. Good for like me and bad for not like me, to really summarize it. But over time, we build up this image of the not like me or that other group, and it might be multiple groups, but we attach these meanings to them that our brain sees as factual, but really it's just an emotional.
Well, and that
sense.
brings up what they did with the kids in the last one,
Yes.
where they had, the only difference is the color of their shirts.
Orange shirt, green shirt.
Yeah, and amazingly, and then they put the kid in one of the colors, and then they made all their decisions based on that.
Yeah, and it was completely random. The child, and these were like just old enough to be talking, you know.
Yeah, 4 or 5 year olds.
Okay, I thought they were closer to 2 or 3, but
no.
Okay. Anyway, they gave him a little spinner, and the spinner would spin around and land either on an orange or a green. And then they had him put on that color shirt, and then they showed him little cartoon pictures of a scene of 2 kids. And 2 kids interacting, where one was wearing an orange shirt and one was wearing a green shirt, and they asked them to interpret what happened in the scene, and how that child, one of those characters, was going to behave, and they made choices based on they made up a story about this picture, which could be very, you could go either way with how it was drawn.
Right.
But they made up a story that the ones that were like them, they tended to make them positive and the hero and being nice people, and they tried to make the not like me, the other group, the ones that were wearing the other color shirt, they made them the bad actors, and it was all based strictly on my group or the other group.
Colored shirts.
No other information. Colored shirts. No other information.
No.
And that comes back to this thing of how we attribute characteristics to a group that it doesn't, based on just a perception rather than any outward, visible, created, recordable behavior. So that was, they've covered that in 2 different episodes because it's such important research. And then Monkey Island was the other one.
Oh yeah, that was kind of fascinating because there was
1,200
monkeys on this island.
All the same
type.
Species.
Yeah.
Rhesus monkeys.
Right. All of them. Been living there for, I don't know.
Generations
anyway. Broke off into 6 different groups. And they could tell what group the other guy was in and whether or not they were friend or foe.
Again,
they all looked alike.
Like me, not somehow they knew. They could tell. But they had self-organized into 6 competing groups. And there was some serious competition going on.
Oh yeah, there
was threatening behavior and screaming and at feeding time and who was dominant and
babies being thrown up on the walls out of the way.
For their safety, to
protect
them.
For their safety. And seriously, wow, the Reese's monkeys, for God's sakes.
There was another experiment in there that was. They were testing to see whether animals were less prone to taking on complicated behaviors. It was the best way I can explain it. They showed they put a treat in a little plastic box and let a dog go get the treat out, and then they put the lid down, and the dog had to figure out how to use his nose to lift the lid. They complicated it by the human showing some activity. They had a little stick attached to the box, and they wiggled the stick before they opened the box for the dog, and to see if the dog would attach meaning to that wiggling of the stick.
Right.
And they did this with multiple different kinds of animals, and in every case the animals were, quote, smarter than the human in that they didn't.
No.
They
didn't care about that little extra
They could tell the stick didn't do anything.
Yeah. But when they did it with a human, Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So they show a child. They do the same thing with a child. A little bit more complicated. It wasn't eating a treat out of a box,
No.
but it was getting a toy, and out of and there was a couple of levers and things they had to pull to get the thing open. But the adult that demonstrated the process for getting the toy out of the box added some nonsensical maneuvers, tapping the box 3 times with a little stick and shaking the stick a certain way, whatever, and the child copied that behavior.
Exactly. All the way down.
And they did this multiple times.
Yeah,
Good research is, they're not going to do it just once.
Oh, heck yeah.
But it was they were saying that the conclusion of the research is that we actually hamper ourselves by the degree of specific behavior that we copy from and the cues that we take from each other.
Right.
And so
whether they make sense or not.
And so then this idea of cues, when we have this us versus them, and we then attribute these characteristics, well, we can communicate some of that stuff too. And so that's been used for centuries to generate us versus them sentiment, to stimulate emotional reactions to, in favor of our group and against another group basically for, political maneuvering and so forth.
Right. And the rallies that they were doing, that was scary.
So, I want to leave the political stuff to watch the episode and draw your own conclusions. They give a lot of information, about what's been. The point was, the big point was this has existed. We have this characteristic within us.
We have these biases.
These biases, and we can't eliminate them. They're hardwired in. We can be aware of them, because by being aware of them, we're less subject to manipulation. And unfortunately, the invention of the internet has created an opportunity for an acceleration of that polarizing effect of those messages, those us versus them messages. Yeah. We have multiple sources of information, so we can choose our news, and we can just pick what we believe in and only see that, and have that continuously reinforced, and then that can be used to make it stronger and worse, and instead of seeing someone as having a different opinion or different beliefs than us, this builds into, well, they're just evil. And they should, in the most extreme, then it becomes a source of violence. So it's really, really worth watching this episode and understanding this process, so that you do have more conscious involvement in
what you choose,
what you choose
to listen to, and what you choose to absorb and be aware of in your environment.
And if you choose to, how to establish some balance. And episode number 4, they say, is we're going to have to review it and create another video, but it's some exciting and hopeful news about how to better manage this new risk that we have in terms of the polarization.
Right.
So, thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed it, and let us know how we can help.
Leave a comment.
That's right.
And we'll see you in the next and the 4th episode review. Bye.